G'day guys and gal. Warhammer 40k is arguably the most in-depth, lore-rich fictional setting there is. There are hundreds of full-length novels featuring thousands of characters from dozens of factions, split into hundreds of sub-factions, all trying to share the setting. It's complicated. I've personally read over 100 40k books and spent thousands of hours researching it, and I still do not have total mastery of the lore. I know more than 99.99% of Warhammer fans, and it even sometimes feels like I know more about the lore than GW does, and I still haven't learned everything there is to learn. Now recently, there's been a few voices in the community, I'm not going to name them because I'm pretty sure they're just kicking up a fuss for attention, that have basically just been raging at myself and many of my fellow lore YouTubers as they feel as if a lot of the lore has been corrupted by us knowing it well enough, thus teaching hundreds of thousands of people the lore wrong. Now I personally believe they're just salty people don't find their styles particularly interesting and they would rather lash out than become more interesting, but I'll indulge them and I'll say that they're trying to be genuine. So I saw this video as a perfect opportunity to discuss why 40k is such a challenging setting from a lore perspective, why those loud minorities have a terrible attitude, why their hissy fits aren't helping anyone, as well as why they are both wrong and hypocritical in order to give a better perspective on the lore as a whole. Before we get started, this is the last 24 hours of the Majorkill 2026 lore art calendar before it's gone. I work with a professional artist to create 12 stunning artworks taken directly from the lore. I chose some of the best moments to bring to life, and putting them in a calendar is the best way I thought to bring them to you guys and gal. See, a physical calendar isn't just a novelty, it's a great way to record more meaningful moments like birthdays and events, while leaving the digital calendar for boring shit like meetings and appointments. It can also spice up your space a bit more. As for the artworks themselves, I chose moments for the lore across the various different factions. If you like loyalists, we got them. You like space cells, we got them. We even got some of you Tau lovers out there, and yes, I made it extremely cool. The calendar comes in A4, A3 and A3 Legendary Edition, which we only have a handful of left. Legendary features a custom front and back artwork, is signed, and comes with an additional artwork. Yes, I hand signed all of them, yes it took ages. Last chance guys, finish the year strong and get something nice for yourself or someone you like. Link is below. Today we'll discuss why 40k lore is so difficult to truly understand, why that isn't a bad thing, and why not having complete mastery of the lore doesn't make you a tourist or any less of a 40k fan than someone who doesn't have a job and stays in their parents' basement all day combing through the lore. Let's get into it. There are plenty of awesome sci-fi settings out there. Halo, Star Wars, My Little Pony. But what separates 40k from the rest isn't its grim darkness, it's mostly just how deep the lore goes. If you watched every Star Wars movie, you'd be a certified Star Wars fan. If you watch all the Disney Plus shows as well, you'd be a super fan. If you then read the comics and Legends novels, you'd be an ultra fan turbo virgin. Likewise with Halo. You play all the games and read the comics, you're as big as a fan as it gets. Now take all the time it took you to play Halo and watch Star Wars, and then invest that into reading 40k lore, and you wouldn't even have read half the Horus Heresy, which is a side plot prequel to the 40k setting set 10,000 years prior. Shit is fucked. Now, unlike most sci-fi settings, there is a solid amount of gatekeeping in the 40k community, or at least it feels like there is. Many fans are concerned that 40k going too mainstream or becoming too accessible will allow for modern societal things that can kill the uniqueness of a setting to creep in. Many people say that Star Wars being acquired by Disney ruined it. Now, I'll let you guys debate that one without me, but the general gist of it was Star Wars had to sacrifice its soul in order to produce more content out of it. Whether or not that is actually the case is up to each person's perspective. So it has created a bit of an elitist attitude that because 40k is so deep and difficult to fully comprehend, the people who have a decent understanding of it often act like total douche wankers to people who are more casual or just don't have the time to read 300 books. Now, I've always believed that a hobby should be something for you to personally enjoy how you see fit. That doesn't mean you come in, pretend that everyone's space marine is black and transgender, and yell at anyone that tells you you're wrong. However, it does mean that enjoying 40k via watching some YouTube videos, maybe reading a book or two, and maybe painting one or two minis means you are a valid, certified 40k fan. If you think what I just said was controversial, I honestly think you should touch grass. Now I want to take this a step further before I get too lost in the source. Warhammer 40k has so many novels and lore because it has a shitload of writers. Now the writers try not to create lore conflicts, they try not to make the same characters sound extremely different between books, and they try to make the lore flow. GW even has people who try and keep the lore cohesive and minimize canon conflicts, but it's a nearly impossible task and mistakes creep through. For example, I recently read the second Vaults of Terror book as well as the first Watches of the Throne book, two reasonably recent novels that both take place on Terra around the same time and even reference some of the characters. I mean, fuck, they both had the same author. However, it did seem to have a strange canon conflict. When the Astronomicon went out, Vaults of Terra made it seem like the Great Rift opened, put a bunch of pressure on the Astronomicon, the High Lord of the Astropathic Choir tried to cover it up and fix it, but failed and was killed by an Inquisitor. Yet Watchers of the Throne spoke about the High Lord still being alive and helping to try fix the Astronomicon post it turning off. Now I haven't read the follow-up books yet, so unless the next books have to go back and straighten it out, which maybe they will, that is a canon conflict from the same author from books released only 3 years apart. so imagine how many fuck-ups there are over the span of 30 years and dozens of authors. Another one off the top of my head is in Watchers of the Throne. When a Sister of Silence kills a demon, the demon is banished. However, newer lore says that when a Sister of Silence kills a demon, the demon truly dies. There is just constant retcons, canon conflicts, and lore that just doesn't gel together. On about 50% of 40k lore wiki pages, there is a designated section for source and canon conflicts. So it's honestly very difficult to get things right, because if person 1 says one thing and person B says something totally opposite, there's a chance that they're both correct and both citing correct source material, like the Sister of Silence demon slaying example. During one book I was reading, the start literally said, "By the way, we've retconned the timeline here to better suit the narrative we want to build." It's wild. Now the funny thing is a lot of those douche canoes who claim to know everything, and then if someone doesn't have 100% infallible knowledge on all of 40k's lore, then they shouldn't be a lore content creator, also fuck up pretty regularly. One of them threw a bitch fit once because of the existence of black ultramarines. They claimed that Space Marine gene seed would overwrite their base genetics to make them look like their Primarch, including race, citing the Salamanders or many Sons of Horus as examples. And yeah, sure, often many Space Marines will look more like their Primarchs upon ascending, but the Salamanders are a special example of skin color change due to a gene seed defect. No other Space Marine does a fucking race change when they receive gene seed. Ultramarine gene seed is also incredibly pure, so it's very rare that it mutates a Space Marine to make them look uncannily like Gilliman, and there are 0 cases of it race changing. Even the Salamander example, which if you actually look at it, is just a pigmentation thing, you could argue it's not even race related. There are dozens of moments in the lore that further prove this, such as non-Asian White Scars in the Heresy, black-haired Blood Angels, Sons of Horus who look nothing like Horus, such as Garviel Loken. So you've got hundreds of 40k books full of lore inconsistencies and errors. How do you actually try and comprehend the entire lore? That's the neat part. You don't. What makes 40k so appealing is how unachievable maxing it out is. It's why there are so many lore channels that have been making content for over 10 years and are still going strong. I find that awesome. I did some extremely rough calculations, and I would say if you consumed every piece of official lore content ever put out, from novels, campaign books, White Dwarf magazines, codexes, it would probably take you around 10,000 hours. Let's say you read for 2 hours every day. It would take you nearly 14 years. Even if you upped it to 4 or 5 hours a day, never skipping a day, that would still take like 6 or 7 years. If you actually did that, congratulations, you are so gay. Now go lose some weight and talk to a human being. I mean, it is impressive, but to act like you are now a better 40k fan than someone who is working their way through the Horus Heresy is absurd and very off-putting. So what is the solution if you like Warhammer, but you have a life? That's right, watching lore videos, reading parts of the lore subreddit, even popping into the 40k wiki. I personally recommend the Lexicanum, as everything there has to be cited. However, it does mean sometimes there isn't much information there. People who say 40k lore YouTubers shouldn't exist, you should get all your info from the books, are delusional neckbeard retards. To tell someone they need to invest hundreds of hours and dollars on books just to introduce themselves to the lore is so fucking stupid, especially if they just want to learn a bit about each faction or a specific character. Now, what about us lore creators? Do we have a duty of care to ensure everything we say is 100% accurate, cited, and has been double checked? No, because then there would be no 40k creators or none that you'd actually want to watch. I don't pretend to know everything. That is why my videos are often more general and short. They're designed to be bite-sized, entertaining, and hook you into the lore. Then after you watch a Majorkill video, you can potentially buy a book, do further reading, or watch a channel like Luton or Voldemort. Likewise, Adeptus Ridiculous or Bricky are similar. They hook people in and make it fun. I'm sorry, but listening to some guy that hasn't seen the sun in 3 years talk about 40k lore like it's the fucking Bible sounds grim as. I would rather pump out lore that is 98 to 99% accurate to hook attention than barely upload because I need to quadruple check that I'm 100% right all the time, even if GW itself is wrong. With the irony being that even if I double check something to ensure it was accurate, there may be a newer piece of lore making it inaccurate that I was unaware of. What I'm saying is nobody got into Warhammer by clicking a 2-hour deep dive of a Tyranid Gaunt. They did it from content creators like me, or their mates telling them bits and pieces of the lore, or from Astartes, short, fun, and sweet. There is no one single way 40k should be enjoyed. If you want to go balls to the walls, read as much content as you can, and only watch the hectically deep channels that source everything and upload once a month, then power to ya. If you like 40k casually and don't have a hectic attention span, then watch the content that suits that and enjoy the hobby in the way you'd like to. I'm so fucking sick of people trying to tell others how they have to engage with a fictional sci-fi setting about super soldiers fighting demons and shit. Mind your own fucking business. The funny thing is the same people kicking a fuss that Warhammer is no longer just for fat balding nerds, but is actually getting enjoyed in a variety of ways, are the same people who aren't saying shit about 40k AI content. If you think me or another more easygoing lore content creator has errors in our videos, videos, watch the AI lore videos. They are fucked and extremely inaccurate. ChatGPT, Gemini, or whoever cannot comprehend 40k accurately. It is that complicated. However, there are AI channels popping up everywhere getting lots of views and full of so many errors. That is a genuine problem that should bring the community together. I've been trying to raise awareness about that for some time and it feels like I'm the only one that is. The irony of these purist wank creators shitting on channels like mine or Bricky is that if I moved on from 40k, which I eventually will because I have other things in my life I want to explore beyond Warhammer and YouTube, or Bricky decided to not make any more 40k content, then long term it would hurt those channels the most as they aren't the ones bringing people into the hobby. People are brought in by the very channels those purists hate. But yeah, I just want to discuss why there are occasionally mix-ups by 40k creators. There isn't this grand conspiracy that most lore creators don't actually know shit and only read the wikis and make stuff up. The lore is just so impossibly fast and full of so many contradictions and retcons that it's inevitable that there will be a handful of misinterpretations or mix-ups from both creators like me and creators that claim to be lore masters, and that is okay. The more 40k lore content made by different creators means more people see the hobby and have a chance to join it, and I think that's beautiful. There are so many other threats to Warhammer and its community beyond the lore being near impossible to 100% understand at all times. Let's focus on those rather than just trying to civil war over dumb shit, because that's retarded. Anyways, Merry Christmas. I'm going to take a bit of time off to see my family and touch grass. I suggest everyone else do the same. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up a lore art calendar. 24 hours left, you do not want to miss out. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.